I'm Lee. I'm a New Zealander living in the East Riding of Yorkshire, and this is my podcast about my handmade life. I'm on Instagram as Instamatic louleigh and on Ravelry as louleigh, and I have a shop on Etsy where I sell knitting bags, and that's Shop Louleigh. Welcome, it's nice to have you here today for a little chat which will be all about the spinning today. Yeah, it's nice to sit down with you and have a talk. The first thing that I wanted to say, well, it's an apology about the horrific sound from my last episode. I had a little lapel mic that I had purchased, and I had started taking it for granted that it just went, and so I had stopped doing a sound check. And I have since found out what the problem was. I had no idea. It's not even in the instructions that this thing has a battery in it. And so I thought maybe I'd stuck it in the wrong plug or something like that. But yeah, I sat down to record this time and I just thought, this is still not working. So I opened it up, and what do you know? There's a flat battery in the middle. So today I'm just using the camera mic. And it's a Sunday, so I can't run out and get another one of these little button batteries, but hopefully I should be all back in order for next time, and I will at least have done a sound check so I can make sure that you don't have massive through the entire podcast. It hadn't sounded that bad when I was editing, because my the speakers on my computer are rubbish. So I hadn't even realised that all that white noise was on it until I had uploaded it to YouTube. But anyway, if you made it to the end of that episode, you can claim your free Freddo frog. Just PM me your address and I will send you a chocolate frog for you to enjoy with the next episode. Yes, but thank you for persevering. There were so many of you that did. And so many of you said some very, very kind things despite the horrific sound quality. So anyway, I have done checks this time, and hopefully this episode, well, I'm not going to post it if it is a complete assault on your ears. I have learnt my lesson. Even though this is a completely amateur production, I shall be checking everything from now on. So there you go. So the first segment is what am I wearing, and today I have on my jerkin. This is what I have named it. I think the pattern is actually calls itself a vest or something like that. It was on the Pearl Soho blog, and it was the design just really appealed to me as something that I could put on days like this where it's still wet but a bit warm, but not warm enough just to wear a t-shirt or something. And I managed to make the whole thing out of bits that I had in stash. So the linen was something that I had used for a dress, and it was blue when I bought it, and I just dyed it in the washing machine. And then the contrast colour inside was a fabric that I had picked up from Arthur Toy in New Zealand when I was at home at some point. And this binding around the edge was some fabric that I had bought to do piping around the edge of a chair. It's a chair pad really, it's not really a cushion, just that it's cut out the same shape as the chair. And then buttoned on. But yes, I had bought the fabric just to do the piping around the edge, so I had lots left over. And what do you know, it all coordinated. Even the batting was something. It's a wool machine washable batting that I already had in my in my possession from another project. I did buy the pewter hooks, which I rather like, and yeah, I don't get a lot of wear out of it. I really like it, and I was really pleased with it when I finished it, but it's not something I wear really regularly. Maybe it's just been the wrong time of year. It's here it's sort of, you either need a woolly jumper or you don't. There's not much interim weather. So, but today it's just been perfect, a bit of a body warmer I suppose. But I like to, I think it's an Anglo-Saxon term, jerkin. So it just seems appropriate. So that is what I am wearing today. As I said earlier, this episode is all about the spinning. With Stash Dash, I shall talk about my Stash Dash roundup next time. But with Stash Dash, I finished off quite a few things that had been sitting around in on my bobbins, or I just had a go at things as well. So anyway, I should just launch into it. I'm kind of looking at all this stuff and thinking, oh, what should I say about it? But I should just pick something up and go. So the first thing I'm actually working on my spinning wheel, on my Major Craft gem, is this fibre, which is a Corriedale that was dyed by John from Easy Knits, and I picked it up at Woolfest in Cumbria. I got 2 braids of it because I thought it was such pretty colours. I think I've been working quite a lot with these colours recently. And I had the fibre for quite some time. I forget, it must be at least 2 years since I went to Woolfest. And I was having a clean up of the factory and just decided that it was something that I really wanted to play with. I haven't ever spun with Corriedale before. The colourway is called Pond, and it was over dyed on a grey Corriedale, it says here. I've got the label all here in my album of spinning. And I decided to have a go at fractal spinning. Now there's a really good article on Knitty about fractal spinning, and basically it's a style of colour management. So for the first braid of 100 grams, I had taken the top and I pre-drafted it from end to end so that I had really long colour transitions. Yeah, you can see like that was all one colour, with the idea that it would have a really big stripe of each colour. And then with the next braid, let me just reach over here and grab my bits. I took the braid and I split it long ways into this knot here, is so I know which end is the end that I want to start with, and I can undo that really easily. But I took the braid and I divided up the top long ways, so when I spin this I'll have much shorter colour repeats, and the resulting yarn, it's going to be a 2-ply, should have a really interesting colour transition. I have done fractal spinning before. I think I did it as a 3-ply last time, and I made a wingspan out of it, and then gifted it away, so I don't even have it to show you, but it had a really interesting striped effect to it, and I thought it would be an interesting way of managing the colours in this yarn. As I said, I'm going to make a 2-ply yarn with it, but I've made a bit of a cock up with the spinning. I discovered part way through this bobbin that I had changed the pulley for some reason, and so I had it on a much higher ratio than I had intended. I think I've still spun it to the same thickness, but I'm not sure if there's a section in here that would be overspun or how long that section might be. I hope I haven't bollocksed it up completely, but I guess I won't know until I apply it and finish it. So that project has been on the go, and unfortunately it's on the back burner a bit at the moment because we have a new puppy and he likes to chew my wheel and I don't like him to chew my wheel. Yeah, I have a couple of little tooth marks in the treadle, so I might risk getting it out after he's been for a very long walk and is quite tired, or I might just stick to spindle spinning until he has stopped teething and chewing on everything in sight. Our whole living room is littered with chew toys. Actually, he's been quite good. I have to admit that the only piece of furniture he has chewed on is my spinning wheel. So I guess we've been lucky. But anyway, so this may or may not progress before the puppy finishes teething. I don't know how long that will be. I hope it's soon. The next thing that I have been working on, which was a lot of fun, is this little sample here. I put in an order with fondant fibre, which as usual came really quickly and was really lovely, and it had this wee sample in it of fibre, and this delivery came a little bit before this arrived, and I was really intrigued. This came from Acreworks and is one of their mini spindles. Look, it's got fluff on it. Oh, surprise, surprise, I've been using it. It's one of their mini spindles. And they make, their spindles are modular, so they come apart and you can choose the shaft length. And for the mini spindle you can't choose your wheel size. This is it, but you can choose a longer shaft. The actual wheel is a printed plastic, so, and they make them to order in a multitude of delightful colours, but I don't know if you can see the way that they have weighted it with those ball bearings. I hope you can. So it is rim weighted, so it's a lovely spinner. And I had initially ordered this because I wanted it to be a mini spindle that would be easily transportable. And so I initially ordered it with this shorter shaft. And I think since I started using top wheel spindles, I've started to get them spinning by rolling them along my leg, as Abby Frankemont recommends. And I mean, I've mentioned before that I have an old RSI injury, and so I used to like spinning on Turkish spindles, but that little flick just really was quite hard on my hands. And so being able to roll the shaft along my leg to get things going, you get a much longer spin and just better momentum, really. So this smaller shaft wasn't really working for me, and I had a measure up, and this longer one actually fits in my little spinning container that I tend to take with me anywhere. Anyway, one of the benefits of this little spindle, because it's modular, is that you can actually use it as a top wheel spindle or as a bottom wheel spindle, whichever. Well, you can put the wheel wherever you like, really. I like a top wheel spindle because I like to roll it along my leg, but some people like the stability of a bottom wheel spindle, so yeah. It's a lovely spinner. I really enjoyed using it and spinning up this this sample. I made my little cards I make when I start a spinning project. There might be quite a lot of light on that. I don't know how well you can see it. Let me try zooming in. Here we go. So I did make my control card and basically just let the spindle do the work for me. So it came out really fine and I really enjoyed spinning it. It was quite good actually, because having a new puppy, I have spent a lot of time standing in my garden going wee wee, wee wee and waiting for the dog to relieve himself. So it was nice to have something just by the back door that I could just pick up and take out. So I suppose this is the result of me standing in the garden watching a puppy relieve himself. Yeah, and I think I really want to knit up a little sample with it and just see what it's like. There's not a lot of yarn here. Did I write it down? I think I got about 48 metres. So I thought I might try knitting up just a little sample to put in my album. It's not soft though. I think I put too much spin into it, and it was a beautiful prepared top. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it does knit up and then how it feels with it when it's washed. Yeah, I wonder what was, I have it, here we go. It was merino BFL silk. So it had some longer fibres in there. Yeah, but I really enjoyed that spindle, and if you're looking for a mini spindle, I would highly recommend this. I suppose the thing is, you can get some really beautiful handcrafted wooden ones, but because these are less, I mean, wood can be quite variable in terms of weight, so, but because these are made in more of a more engineered, and they can be much more consistent about the spindle and the weighting of it. I might be talking a load of rubbish. Anyway, it's a beautifully engineered spindle and I really like it. I'm looking forward to getting another spindle project on it. The other thing that I finally got off my wheel was something that I had been spinning on my little gem, and I had just left this on the bobbins for quite a long time. I think I spun the fibre well over a year ago, it's for sure. It was some beautiful top. It had been gifted to me for my birthday a couple of years ago, and it came from Adelaide Walker, and they always have beautifully prepared fibre, and I think there's about 100 grams of each of these colours, and I spun them all in the same way, but I think they look like they have come out at slightly different thicknesses, but I wonder if that's because the colour is deceptive. I decided to go ahead and spin this though, because I have a gradient pack from Hilltop Cloud, and that's Blueface Leicester as well, and she's taken the different coloured natural colours and then over dyed them, and I wanted to try spinning up this because it was less of an investment, and I really didn't want to muck up that other fibre because it's such a pretty colour. And I'm really pleased with the way that this has come out. It's really lightweight, and I'm looking forward to actually knitting something up with this. I've spun up a lot of yarn and I'm not knitting very much with it, and so I really feel like I ought to just maybe do some sampling or just some projects to try it out. And And I think those colours are just lovely. So I forget how much I had altogether with this one. I wonder if I've put it, I'm not sure it's made it into here yet. I don't think I've put my notes in. And you don't want to watch me flicking through my notes all for the whole podcast. So I'm pretty sure there's at least 250 meters here. So it gives me a lot of options for what I could do with it. And I think it's probably an Aran weight. Yeah. So I shall have a think about that and see what I want to do. I think I could have got away with putting less twist into this. I've made a very round 3-ply yarn. And because BFL is, well, it's much longer than merino, I think I could have put less twist into it. I don't think I've over twisted it. I certainly haven't made it like wire or twine or anything. But yeah, I could have got away with a little bit less twist. But other than that, it looks beautiful. Looking forward to knitting with that actually, getting things off my needles and getting that on. The next thing I want to show you is the results of my Southdown sample experiment. I think it was the 28th of June episode where I talked to you about the little sample that I had spun up of Southdown's yarn, which was of Southdown's top that I had, and it was quite an elastic sort of round yarn, and one of the things about Downs yarns that I have talked with you about before is that they're supposed to not shrink or they're supposed to not felt or not felt as easily as other wool fibres. And so I had wanted to knit up a couple of samples and just see what happened if I put one through the washing machine. So this was the first sample that I made, and this is the one that I've just made from my hand spun yarn, and I hand washed it in the bathroom basin, and it's very elastic and lightweight and open, and has all the normal characteristics of a Downs yarn. It's crisp, not really soft against your skin. And then I knitted up another swatch, exactly the same size and on exactly the same needles as the first one, and I have put this one through the washing machine 3 times. I did just on a normal cycle with all of my other things. And what's interesting, these are them side by side. What's interesting though is that if I put this one on top of this one, it's only really shrunk a little bit. I haven't actually lost a lot of size. I think not much in the length anyway. I think I've lost about half a centimetre in the width, but it has felted. You can probably see that. It might actually be easier to see on the back side where there would be more texture anyway. It has felted and lost its elasticity, so this is not stretchy or badoingy at all really, but it has made a lovely sort of warm fabric. So I think if you wanted to make a pair of mittens or something where it didn't matter if it had a lot of stretch but you wanted to make it a bit more water resistant or just a bit warmer, then actually Southdown's yarn put through the washing machine might be a good option. I should imagine that would be quite hard wearing, and really nice to wear in the snow. It would stop the moisture coming through into your hands. I've actually got some beautifully hand-dyed South Downs fibre in my stash, and I've been thinking about knitting myself a pair of slippers with that. And it's interesting to know that I could make myself something and then machine wash it, and I wouldn't actually lose much size, but it would become this nice robust fabric. So at some point, probably ages away, I don't know when, I might try that out. I think it would be really interesting. But this has been a really interesting little project, making up these little South Downs samples and seeing how they turn out. It's been lots of fun. The last thing I have to show you is the project that I'm working on at the moment, and if you've watched from the beginning, you've seen this one before. This is the project that's currently coming into the garden with me, and I don't know if I'm a failure as a dog owner that it's taking so long for me to toilet train my dog. I was actually down at the vet's, and she did say that Lhasa Apsos are notorious for taking a long time to toilet train, and that he probably knows exactly what he's supposed to do, but they're a little dog with their own agenda. So anyway, that's beside, you don't want to know about my dog training. Anyway, so I have gone back to standing in the garden with this project, which is one that I've had on the go for ages. Over a year again, but I've been really enjoying it. This is an Enid Ashcroft spindle, and it's just beautiful, and it spins beautifully, and so it's been nice to have that project out. I thought I only had one little nest of fibre left to spin, and then I was rummaging through my fibre bag and I found another one. I didn't know whether to be pleased or bummed about that, but anyway, so that's the spinning that I'm most predominantly working on at the moment, just because it's handy to take outside. I just hope he gets it before it starts raining regularly. So that is everything from me today. It's been really nice to sit down and have a little chat with you, and just to go through some of these projects and my plans for the yarn and that sort of thing. I'm going to put a little slideshow at the end to show you what bags I have in the shop at the moment, because there are a few lovely ones in there, so you can stay and watch that if you like. It would be wonderful to hear from you in the Ravelry group. If you haven't already introduced yourself, it's always nice to turn a view number into a chum, and I hope to be back soon to talk to you again. Bye!